Hello, my guest today brings me an incredibly powerful and a unique perspective to medicine. She's not just an expert in her field, in her career, she's also a patient living with diabetes herself. On top of that, she's a mom, juggling and balancing her demanding career and her personal life. I'm honored to have Miss Gardner with me today. And that's all to know how she's doing it all together. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
We met before, but we didn't talk about your career and your journey. We talked about AI, as I remember. So today I
Yeah.
want to talk to you about you, yourself. So the medical profession is known for its demanding hours and high stress. What has been the biggest challenges for you for balancing your medical career and the responsibility of being a mom?
Yeah. So I think I should start with telling what my medical situation is.
Yeah.
I have type 1 diabetes, and so I've had it basically my whole life. Getting close to 40 years now, that's scary. Diagnosis with the disease. But to answer your question, I think one of the most challenging things as a type 1 and a provider and a mom is just I feel like I'm always juggling glass balls. And
Yeah.
if I something and I think that's just very characteristic of moms anyway, but if I drop one, something's going to happen, and there's always this pressure or stress in the back of my mind about, okay, if I don't take care of myself and I don't sleep enough and I don't exercise and I don't regulate my blood sugar, I'm going to have long-term problems. And I think it's also tough because when you know too much for a little bit, you know what the long-term outcomes could be.
Yes.
And so I struggle. I want to live my life and do all the things, but it's a struggle because I know if I go crazy, I'm going to have consequences later on.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the hardest things.
Yes. That's like a mother mental situation is very stressful. Add to that, knowing all the consequences and all the facts and all the science behind type 1 diabetes. So, how has being a mother changed your perspective on patient care, particularly when you're treating patients or children?
So I think just because of my condition, being a mom, being the provider that I am, I'm a lot more empathetic than maybe your mainstream. I know what it's like to receive care that is not up to par. And I've been through that many years. And so to me, I approach my patients in that way. I listen because I know when I see someone, I want someone to listen to me. I
Yeah.
hate the feeling of that you're just a number or you're just a patient in a 15-minute time slot. So I think empathy is a bigger thing that I really approach all of my patients with.
That's like you repeated words that I usually say when I discuss medical field. I'm like, the mainstream is like treating patient as a number, and I don't like that. I when you see a patient, you want to treat them as if they are your own family, like how you want
Yeah.
your family to be treated. Not whole a lot of us are out there though thinking like
Yeah.
that, but I'm glad you're here and you're treating patients. What about the mom guilt, a common theme for working mothers? Is this something you've experienced, and how do you navigate it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And yes, I experience it on every day. And so, to give you an example, last night I was documenting, and my daughter said, "Mom, why can't you just do this at work?" And I said, "Mommy doesn't always have time to do that." She goes, "Just stop working." And she's like, "Can you just watch TV with me?" I'm like, "Oh, no, I really need to finish this." But it's a thing. And what sometimes I just have to close the computer, just walk away. It's going to be okay. It's going to wait on you. It
Mm.
doesn't have to be done right this minute. And I would hope that on the receiving end, if a patient is requesting something or you're trying to finish up a note or whatever, that they could maybe also understand that you're a human and a person and you only have so much capacity.
That's true. If you don't mind me asking, how old is your daughter?
She's 10.
Ah, yeah, that's nice. I have a 6 years old, and she always say, "Watch TV with me," and I thought that's just a phase. So now you're telling me it's not a phase; it's gonna continue. Oh. What does a successful day look like for you? And how do you define work life balance in a profession where the boundaries can be often blurred?
Ooh. So the first question was, how do you define it? What does a successful day look like for you? Okay. So is this like work or just in general?
It's both. Like, how do you define today's successful in like work and personal life, a mother life?
Yeah. I think once you get everything checked off your box, that's a successful day.
Is that
So if
possible?
it's, I
As a
don't
mother,
know,
I'm asking.
I don't think it is, but I'm a big fan of lists and I have a lot of gratification marking things off my list.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things I do. Also, for me, it's like, can I get a workout? Have I had enough water? Have I had enough sleep? Have I been able, this sounds silly, but have I been able to go to the bathroom? You know what I mean? Like when you get so busy and things get caught up, so I listened to a podcast, and the reason I say this is because I think it's very pertinent. I listened to a podcast recently, and I didn't ever think about this, but the lady said, when I get stressed and I'm in my practice and I'm doing my things and I don't know what's happening and I'm kind of in a tiz, I go into a room and I talk to myself and I have a check in and I have a dialogue. What do I need right now? Do I need to take a deep breath? Do I need to have some water? Do I need to go to the bathroom? What's the case? And so I've been doing that, which has been very helpful.
Wow.
So just a little share there.
Yeah, it's a simple thing, but you've never, like, I've never thought about it, but it helps.
It does, yeah. And I thought it was kind of weird. And then I was like, you know what? That's not weird. And it's okay to have a dialogue and try to figure out what's going on in my brain. What do I need to do right now?
So
So
yeah, sorry to interrupt. The second part is, how do you define work life balance in a profession where the boundaries are sometimes or often blurred?
it's definitely intentional. You have to make an intentional effort every day. And because really, if you let yourself, you could work all day,
Yeah.
every day, and never get done. But that's a tough one. I struggle with getting everything completed and wrapped up and put in a bow so that I can face the next day. But I think I just have to give my, so what I've done in the past is I have, well, it's more like, how do you define? So I was going to say, I put myself a timer on my phone. When the timer goes off, that's it. Whatever isn't done, it just has to wait till the next day. But as far as defining work life balance, for me, in regard to my health, I think if my sugars are not crazy and they're not going up and down, like a lot of times type ones can do, then that's a success in my book.
Okay. That
Yeah.
makes
I don't
sense.
know if that really answers the question, but stress, sitting at the computer like the little hunched up person, like you have tech neck, that affects sugar, not eating, not drinking enough water, like all of those things factor in. And so for me, I just have to be very mindful of what I'm doing during the day.
A question just crossed my mind. Do you have a guilt toward patients if you didn't like, if the work has to wait? Yeah.
So the answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
I'm working on that, but it's a tough thing because, like I say, I'm a very compassionate, very empathetic person, and I'm working on not taking on as much as I should. But I know what it's like to be ignored or to be just kind of pushed under the rug, and I never want any of my patients to feel that way.
So, are there any specific strategies or times you've adapted, like, or things you adapted, I mean, to ensure you're fully present for both of your patients and children? Like, is there any technique, any new ways you adapted?
Yeah, one of the things I do daily, and this helps me so much, is electrolytes.
Awesome.
Helps me with my brain. It helps me get back on the right track. I'm very focused when I'm drinking my electrolytes. So that's one thing that I do. Another thing I do, it depends on if I'm in person or virtual that day. But on virtual days, like if it's lunch, I try to go outside. Like, got to get some sunshine, got to get away from, even the office, the home office makes a big difference. In the office, I try to be very intentional about talking to my colleagues.
Mhm.
That's important to me, relationships. And so those are kind of some of the things I do for me, so that when I go into a patient room, I can listen and I can be tuned in.
Okay. And how did you, to go back and like type 1 diabetes, how did you get diagnosed by type 1? And like, how did that impacted your decision to pursue the career in medicine? And did it influence the specialty you chose?
So I was diagnosed at 3 years old. I had a viral illness, maybe the flu, I don't really know. And it just wasn't getting better. And finally, kind of one of the last things that was tested was diabetes. And so that's what it was. At that time, that was in 1988, I was hospitalized for 2 weeks. And so as a 3 year old, in the hospital for that long, it was pretty traumatic. Although I had a pretty great care team, but went through a lot of testing, a lot of things, lots of learning and all of that. So anyway, growing up, my parents never made any kind of excuses for me. I was just always a normal kid. I was allowed to do everything I wanted, sports, band, all the things, and was very successful. So I was very fortunate that I had a supportive environment. My whole family got behind me. But I kind of started at that young age in like a lifestyle medicine realm.
Yeah.
And so we understood, even at that time, even though recommendations were very different, that lifestyle was the driver for good success. And so that's kind of how my journey started. And then once I figured out there was a lifestyle medicine opportunity, I
Yeah.
kind of jumped in because I'm not a huge fan of everything traditional medicine, just because I know that doesn't work for everyone. And it hasn't always worked for me. So I kind of shifted gears from like a more traditional approach to more of a lifestyle approach, and it's been a good thing for me.
That's
For I
awesome.
think for patients, but then also for me as a patient.
But
So
it's nice to have, it's not nice in a way like you're dealing with type 1, but it's when a patient comes to you, you totally can relate because you've
mhm.
been there, you're doing your thing, and you try different ways. You're advising them based on experience and science too, but it's more than like you experienced that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that's important. Like, patients come to you and they have a whole lot of,
Yeah.
I can understand that because I've been through every up and down, and I get it. And I've been through lots of phases in life with type 1, and it's sometimes thrown me curveballs, but you just kind of roll with the punches and get back on track as quickly as you can. And I had an endocrinologist, and this will never leave me, but I had an endocrinologist tell me once, "Oh, I know what it's like to have diabetes. I wore an insulin pump for a day." I was like, "Oh,
Mm.
okay."
That's not the same.
Yeah, so I just don't ever want any of my patients to feel that. The way I felt when she told me that,
Yeah.
I can't explain it. So I don't ever want anyone to feel that way.
In a profession where long hours and unpredictable schedules are common, how do you manage your blood sugar and insulin needs? And what are the some of the biggest logical challenges?
Mm. Yeah, so some days are really tough. I've actually started doing a different insulin pump system called the Loop, which has very tight glycemic control, and I love it. I'm on an Omnipod system with a Dexcom, so that's good, but the algorithms are not perfect. So anyway, blood sugar wise, I monitor all the time. I'm on a continuous glucose monitor, insulin pump, all of that. Um, let's see. Trying to remember the other part of the question.
The other part is how do you manage your blood sugar and insulin needs? What are the some of the biggest logistical or logical challenges, especially when you're at work? Because
So at work, sometimes I get so busy I forget to eat
yeah,
or I forget to drink water. And so that can be challenging. I get kind of worked up and in a zone sometimes, not like stressed, just zoned
yeah,
in on what I'm doing. And so then other things go kind of to the wayside. So I have to be intentional about making sure that I'm drinking my water, breathing. I'm very bad about shallow breathing while I'm charting or whatever. So I
I'm
try to
guilty
make
too.
sure yeah, I try to make sure that I'm sitting up, fixing my posture, a hot 10 belly breathing, and then I can get blood back to my brain and do what I need to do.
Yeah,
So, like, the long work day is tough because of food, drink, just checking in with yourself.
Yeah, I can imagine. Whenever I'm in the zone, like I'm very focused, I actually like forget all about the food and my sugar goes down. I don't have diabetes, but I my sugar fluctuates because of the bad habits of eating. So I'm
Yeah,
working on that. Yeah.
it's tough.
It's
Yeah,
tough.
for sure.
Yeah, especially with like being a mother and working, it's very tough. It's not easy. Food is not accessible, and whatever is accessible is not good for you. Who's also you're a patient and you're a practitioner with a chronic illness. How does the dual perspective inform your advice and empathy toward your patients?
Yeah. So again, the empathy piece is huge for me, but also I like to empower my patients. Like, this is your body, this is your health journey, and you can do with it what you want. Of course, I want you to make the best decisions that you can at the time, but this is in your hands. I'm here to guide you and be your cheerleader and your support in any way possible, but you're the ultimate decider. So every time a patient comes in, we always talk about similar things. We review, lifestyle things, habits, exercise, diet, whatever the case, sleep. And sometimes I repeat myself, but that's okay. Sometimes patients just need to hear things multiple times before it really sinks in and, causes an effect.
So, if I can wrap it in saying you're very realistic with patients, you don't expect them to do whatever you're advising them from the first time.
No, the patients I see are young adults and adults, and they're going to do what they want. And I realize that, and that's okay. But I also want them to know their health journey is in their hands. So some patients I even explain, okay, if you want your lifespan or your health span to be as long as your lifespan,
Mhm.
we may need to make some changes here and there. And so I think once you present things that way, people kind of understand. They tend to jump on board a little bit more.
For young adults, I feel like I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's difficult nowadays to control the cravings. Because for me, as a mom, sometimes I crave something bad and I want to eat it. And then when my kids come and ask me to eat something that is not good, I have to like wait a moment and think. If I'm an adult and I can't control myself all the time, so how can I expect them to do that? It's okay to slip now and here, now and there sometimes. So if you don't mind me asking, how many kids do you have?
I have two.
So what ages? You said 10 and
Yeah, 10 and almost 13.
you don't look like
Yeah.
you have some like a kid who's 13. The question that I want to ask, how do you explain type 1 diabetes for your kids in an age appropriate way?
Yeah, and it's interesting because when I wear a pump, right? And so sometimes
Yeah.
kids see it on my arm, they're like, "What's that?" But I just say, "It's my insulin, it's my medicine." And I tell my kids, mommy's pancreas doesn't work like yours, and so I have to be really careful with what I eat, and I have to take medicine. And they're like, "Okay." But they know, say for if I get a low blood sugar, my daughter, she's so cute. She'll bring me like, "Mom, here's some juice.
Oh,
Your pump is going off," or
oh.
because she's very in tune. My son has no clue. He's the older one, so one day,
Boys are boys. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I just have kept it very simple. And really, to this point, they haven't asked me a ton of questions. They just know that mom has type 1, and that's how it is.
Try my best to be very moderate and I explain, but I can't like they don't understand yet, but I like tell them if your blood sugar goes very high, that's bad for you. You eat this daily, that is not good for you. So do you get worried and try to manage their like food?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do. And sometimes it can be a little much, I think. And
Yeah.
my husband has to say, you need to calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, I do. And I worry about them. But I also know that what I'm doing, they're watching. So I try to be very good if I,
Yeah.
as much as I can and just model that behavior. My kids, my son, not as much. My daughter likes to help. So when we're cooking, we talk about things that's helpful because she's learning at the same time. But it's hard because there's so many temptations. There's,
Oh my
you
God,
know,
yes.
candy and whatever at every single birthday party, at every event, at school, everywhere. So yeah, it's tough, but
The candy is something else, but the colors in the candies, that
yeah.
is, yeah, that's another like subject.
Yeah, we just don't buy it. That's what we just don't buy it.
We don't
And
buy it, but the thing is, they bring it from school. That's what
yeah.
blew my mind. That the other day, last year, my kid was in KG. So the teacher gave them Takis. And I'm like,
Mm,
okay, I don't bring them at home, but why would you give it at school? So
yeah.
it's hard to control it outside of the house.
It is. It is. And I think, I mean, if they do it once or twice or
Yeah.
even daily, even though it's not at your house, I think as long as it's not in your house, that's
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. Yesterday we were talking about that, and my husband is like, at least we control it in our house. At least we can
Yeah.
do that. Yeah. What message would you like to give to parents who are living with type 1 diabetes about finding a way to thrive while managing their health and family life?
I think that I would say you're not any different from anyone else.
Mhm.
Everybody's got stress. Everybody's got health stuff. Everybody's got,
That's true.
kids and many activities. So don't find excuses. Just do the work. Do your exercise, plan your diet, watch your sugars. Do the best you can do every day. There's really no reason with all the technology that we have now
Yes.
to continue to slip into bad habits. You
Yes.
know what I mean? And
Yes.
so I think I would just empower people, charge people to take the reins because I mean, it is hard to live with the chronic condition, but it's really not. You know?
Yeah, it's if you have the awareness, it might be easier for you. And there is no excuse, as you said, because we have the knowledge out there. We just need to search for it. It's not like
Yeah.
before. We have the internet, we have the AI, we have the like healthcare professionals and text messages, live chat, everything is available. So there is no excuse, as you said. There is a question that came to my mind and I wanted to ask you, but I just forgot it now. Yes, how many times do you like aim to work out in a week with all your
My
busy life? Because it's hard.
It is hard. My goal every week is 3 times a week. Does that happen? No. So I'm doing really well if I can do 1 to 2 because of kids practice or whatever,
Yes.
work, word or whatever the case. But I'm trying to move throughout the day. If I can't have a workout, try to move throughout the day. Walk the parking lot or, like I say, walk outside, take a walk with the dog.
Yeah.
Even sometimes I just lift weights if I can, if I have time.
Yeah.
It's tough because scheduling time out, carving time out, going to a class, all of that. It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. I was supposed to work out today. I'm guilty if not. We'll
Mm.
see. I'll try to move. Can you share a story where your experiences as a mother and as someone with type 1 diabetes unexpectedly conveyed in your medical practice?
Yeah. So a new patient I had never seen before, came in, established, we ordered labs, and then she came back, and I couldn't figure out. She was a very, seemingly healthy
Mhm.
patient, no issues, but I couldn't figure out why her labs were so skewed.
Mhm.
And we started talking. And then, I was just listening to her and she opened up and she told me that her daughter had recently been diagnosed with type 1.
Mm.
And so she said, really, everything's just gone, you know, away. Like I don't care about what's happening with me. I'm, focused on her. And then I thought that was an appropriate time to tell her also I had type 1.
Yeah.
And so we talked about that and she just boo-hooed. And she was like, you have no idea how much it means. I don't know anyone with type 1. I didn't know that anyone could, do well and succeed in life
Oh my
because
God.
all she had heard about it, people didn't do well. And that struck me. Anyway, and I told them, look, anytime you need anything, please feel free to contact me. I'm here to talk. I did tell her, I said, it's not easy. You guys are going to have a lot of obstacles, but you can do this. And with the knowledge that we have now and the tools that we have, your daughter's going to have a successful, healthy life. Anyways, those were just, that one really struck me. It came out of nowhere. It came out of just a regular day. And this patient came to review labs, and I was like, what is going on? Just kind of digging a little bit more and found out that her daughter had just been diagnosed, and it was completely overwhelming for her. She had no idea.
It's a shock for her body and for her mental health. For me, as a mother, I would prefer that anything would go wrong with me, but not with my kids. So I totally understand. And as I said before, we're grateful for your presence because choosing that career and being a patient with type 1 makes a huge difference with your relationship with the patient, other than like someone who doesn't have any like medical issue or something. They can't relate. It's different
Yeah.
when you understand it and living it. It's totally different.
Yeah, it's a different perspective too because I understand the frustration. I understand the one of just throwing your hands up. I don't want to do this anymore. I understand even what it's like when you have your menstrual cycle and your sugars are crazy and you don't know why.
Oh my god.
You know, I mean, yeah, I mean, it all, there's a million things. There was this, and I understand the burden of the decision making. That's huge. There was a study, I think it was in 2004, maybe 2014, I can't remember. Stanford, I think, did the study that said on average, type 1s have an extra 189 decisions to make a day. That doesn't sound like a lot, but when you think about it and you do the math throughout a week, that's insane.
Yes.
That's a lot of decisions.
Yeah, that's
So I understand.
what's some of the misunderstanding, like the biggest misunderstanding of people and who have about like, let me rephrase it in my mind. What are some of the biggest misunderstandings that people have about daily reality of managing type 1 diabetes, especially as busy professional and a parent? One of, yeah.
I think some comments that I've gotten in the past that are interesting to me are, you must have eaten too much sugar. That's why you got this. So that's silly, but of course we know that's not pertinent.
Hmm.
But I'm trying to think of some other like examples. I think I'll kind of toot my own horn here for a second. I'm very good at managing. I'm very good at compartmentalizing, and I'm very good at just putting my head down and getting through the day. So I think that they see me if they know I have type 1 or whatever, family, friends, anybody, and like, oh yeah, Gardner's fine. Really, there's a lot underneath that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think that people don't realize that. Definitely not, crying out for any kind of pity or recognition or anything like that, but it's just different.
Yeah.
And people think, oh, she manages fine. It must be easy. It's not. It's work all day, every day.
It's hard work, especially being diagnosed at the age of 3 and all the temptations of kids, like eating everything around them. It's very hard for you and for your parents to,
Yeah.
because it's heartbreaking for me. It's different when you don't want your kids to eat too much of something, and it's different than you don't want them to eat it at all. Like it's not good for them. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
My mom's told me before, she's like, you just kind of gloss over. I'm like, yeah, that's just how it is. I don't want anyone to ever think that I'm feeling sorry for myself or any of that because I don't. And I just don't want that kind of attention. We're going to hit it head on and let's do this and let's live the best life we can.
That's a very nice attitude, powerful. So, if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice at the start of your career, knowing that what you know now about balancing all of the aspects of your life, what would it be?
I would say just put it down and go have fun with the kids because you cannot get this time back.
That's,
And I struggle. I do struggle with that, but the kids are not going to be little forever.
oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I would tell myself that. The things that you have that come up in your EMR and that messages and this, that stuff will wait, but it's more important to spend the time with your family and your kids.
It's a golden advice, but to be realistic, as
I
women
know.
in this era, we have so many responsibilities. So it's kind of hard to balance, but the guilt is there. I would do whatever you said right now, leave everything, spend the time with the kids all day, every day. Thank you,
Yeah.
Gardner, for your time. I hope we didn't take so much of your time, but you
No,
you give us a new perspective for someone who's practicing while dealing with type 1 diabetes, on top of that, being a mother. Thank you so much.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and hopefully see you next time on Invisible Reality again.
Yeah. Sounds great. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.